Hello humans of the world, I'm Dawn of the World, welcome aboard. The curtain has officially fallen on Wano and we are diving into a brand new arc and a brand new shooting space. This, to be fair, is a temporary shooting space. I haven't unpacked my lights yet. I will need to clean up and move into the office next door, but that might take a little while. Anyway, there's a lot to talk about. I'm going to be talking about the Yamato situation, as well as this whole buggy development, since having to go up to Sydney for an all-week shoot while being down here and unpacking from a big move. I was unable to get a video out last week, so here we go. Buggy has a higher bounty than Luffy. Something that stumps me is that Chopper is acknowledged as a Yonko commander, and yet he has a bounty of like $10. Relatively low. I think he's had the highest increase of the lot. In 100 to 1000 is like a tenfold increase. I don't think anybody else had that, but still made like $10. Also, why is Frankie's new photo a picture of the Sunny? Do they think he's a ship now? We can't get a photo of the artist, so let's get a photo of the art. Usopp's bounty is finally the same as the one that Doflamingo gave him in Dressrosa. Robin's bounty finally kind of reflects her danger level to the world government. Zoro's bounty is higher than Jinbei's by the equivalent of $11. That's like just under a KFC Zinger deal. Now I want KFC. And Buggy has a higher bounty than anybody in the Straw Hats. It's just occurred to me that as far as the rest of the world is concerned, Buggy is a Yonko. His bounty is over 3 billion. He's a former member of the Roger Pirates. He heads a massive criminal organization, and he's considered an extremely dangerous individual by the world government. Meanwhile, as far as the rest of the world is concerned, Usopp holds the title of God, and news of his apparent conqueror's haki from the raid on Onigashima may have traveled. What I'm getting at is that when Usopp and Buggy inevitably meet, I want them each to be terrified of the other. Buggy sees Usopp and is internally like, "Ah, it's got Usopp! I don't stand a chance against somebody like that!" While simultaneously, Usopp is internally like, "An Emperor! This is it! I'm done for!" And then, you know, they clash and split the sky. Regarding the truth of Buggy's situation being that he is at the mercy of his underlings, I should have seen this coming. I jumped the gun on this one. Wrong again. We are often wrong at Dawn of the World, but this is the opposite of a problem because instead we get surprises. And while I did suggest the idea of Luffy not having been the only person to have awakened his fruit abilities during the course of the Wano arc, and that Buggy may have done so as well, which we now know he hasn't, at the same time I didn't love that idea. And the reason why I didn't love that idea is because when the moment that Buggy the Clown inevitably does awaken his devil fruit and or unlock his latent haki and or otherwise realizes his crazy powerful potential that he's been neglecting all this time, I want to be around for it. I want to see that the first time it happens. And the more that I think about it, the more it seems like it will be a true endgame occurrence. Something that'll happen in the real final fight of the series. I mean, we're on our way to the end game now, but we're not quite there yet. I still need to make a whole video about Buggy and about Captain John's treasure, and since we found out he most certainly hasn't found it yet, that's going to be a lot more fun of a video. As for the apparent underlings, I find it interesting that Mihawk has a higher bounty than some of the Yonko without being a Yonko himself. I guess in order to qualify as a Yonko, you need to be seen as the head of some kind of pirate crew or pirate organization, which Mihawk is not. He's just a guy. He seems to be kind of seen as some problematic swordsman rather than a pirate in the traditional sense, though he's still pirate enough to have qualified as Shichibukai back in the day. Mihawk really is such a mysterious and enigmatic character. He's the world's strongest swordsman and he's a pirate captain without a pirate crew. As for why he doesn't have a crew, we now have a very nutshell, non-explanatory reason. Mihawk, like Crocodile, trusts no bitch. I love that Crocodile once again mentioned his trust issues. He mentions these things at every opportunity he gets. I even have an entire video on that I keep plugging. If you haven't watched it yet, right now would be a very good time to do so, as it seems like it's about to become topical. Anyway, throughout all of Alabasta, he talked about how he trusts nobody, and now in this chapter, so long after Alabasta, like a good 20 years or so, he's once again talking about how he trusts nobody. Crocodile's lack of trust is gonna be so important. And now he seems to be really vibing with Mihawk, which is interesting interesting because I don't think we've seen them interact really before now, even though we've known them both separately. Look at them together. They're chatting over the phone over drinks. They're dethroning an emperor. They would totally get their nails did together. They are becoming BFFs brought together by their mutual trust issues. They trust nobody, they don't trust each other, and that's why they're best friends, because they don't trust each other or anyone. Along with trust issues, we learned that Mihawk used to be known as the Marine Hunter, which is kind of a fun counterpart to Zoro's Pirate Hunter. Though given that marine bounties, as far as we know, have only just become a thing, I guess this means he hunted marines purely for sport? Or did he have a personal vendetta against them, which is tied in with his trust issues? His trust issues are why he's alone and doesn't have a crew and lives by himself in that castle with that solitary toilet. I actually almost wondered if he could have been a former Marine. Though if that had been the case, I don't think that the world government would offer a Shichibukai title to somebody who used to be a Marine, and I don't feel like he would have accepted it. Unless he's a member of SWORD, which kind of would fit the bill because he's the world's best swordsman and he could be a part of SWORD because swords. But there's not a lot to support this theory other than swords, so just kind of saying things at this point. Meanwhile, Crocodile is looking to form a company, and now I really must applaud Crocodile because, well, what is it that they say? Fall down 7 times, stand up 8. Don't let your past failures hold you back. Croc, my boy. We all know how that went for you last time. But surely this time will be different for a potential plethora of different reasons, so let's all keep an eye on Crocodile. As for the revolutionary portion of the chapter, Dragon's reaction to the potential of Sabo having killed Cobra leads me to believe that Dragon and Cobra may have known each other and even could have been friends. I mean, they're both named after kind of similar things, and that's grounds for friendship in my opinion. But I guess we might find out one way or another pretty soon, and also something else that could happen pretty soon, keeping in mind the fact that Kuma is still very, very broken, is Vegapunk. I mean, he's got to show up at some point during this saga. I mean, if not now, when? Anyway, now some really quick thoughts regarding Yamato last chapter. I honestly never loved the idea of Yamato joining the crew right here and now, so I'm not heaps bummed by this turn of events. However, I do agree that the seemingly sudden and off-screen change in opinion and the reasoning feels a little bit strange, but Oda wouldn't make this choice for no reason. Let's keep in mind that the Pluton is still in Wano, and let's keep in mind that should they be alive, Big Mom and Kaido may also still be in the area. Wano needs a certain Kaido-san right now. I also really need to do a video on this, and I've been meaning to do it for a long time, but I have reasons for suspecting that Yamato needs to be in Elbaf, so there may be some catching up as of yet. I mean, there's various certain plot points that I think are meant to be addressed later on. Just because we're sailing out of Wano, it doesn't mean that various plot threads that we picked up while there have suddenly been dropped. For example, going forward, I think we're definitely going to find out about Zoro's Grim Reaper encounter. Even though it wasn't properly addressed in Wano, I definitely think it's going to be relevant at some point later on. Just think back to Skypiea. When Skypiea ended, there were probably various fans out there who were like, "What? We didn't find out who Usopp saw fixing the Mary that night." And of course, that got resolved a little bit later on. And I'm expecting something kind of similar for this whole Grim Reaper business. All of that being as it is, I also have read somewhere that Oda was pressured or encouraged to have Wano's rap coincide with the launching of Film Red, and it kind of shows. As much as various plot points can be addressed again in later arcs, it doesn't change the fact that the last 10 or so chapters of Wano did feel a bit rushed, which is a little disappointing. But by and large, I did enjoy Wano a lot, but if I could sum up my entire critique for the arc in one sentence, it's that the launch of Film Red shouldn't have had any sway whatsoever over how the arc played out. But anyway, I'm very excited to have started the next arc. It was so wonderful to see some good old-timey Straw Hat shenanigans on the Sunny that included Jinbei. Not to mention, of course, that nostalgic spirit of adventure. Where are we going to disembark next? I'm disembarking in Sydney again tomorrow morning, so I better get a move on. Anyway, I'm Dawn of the World, and I will see you next time. Bye guys!